Hey guys, Chris here. Today I'm going to be making a video on the top 25 players in the NBA, or what I believe. This was a really hard list to make, and honestly, some players can be moved like by day to day. Sometimes I could think one player's like in the top 25, maybe top 20. Another time I might not think they're top 30, something like that. But yeah, I just want you guys to take this with a grain of salt and just enjoy the video. So first off, we have the honorable mentions. These are some of the players that I think could be debated for the top 25. Players like Domantas Sabonis, Julius Randle, who made All NBA second team, Chris Middleton, who you could argue is better than Drew Holiday. I don't, to be honest, but you could definitely make the case after his 20 points in the fourth quarter performance. And two players that really stand out are Ben Simmons and Rudy Gobert, who before the playoffs were probably a lock-in for top 25, but ever since they got basically exposed for their play style and game, they've dropped. So you could still make the case, but I wouldn't, just because it's going to be a lot hard for them to play better basketball, just because how the Clippers and Atlanta Hawks just exposed them. So yeah, let's move on to the top 25. I also want to mention I'm not including anybody like Klay Thompson because he never really played this season. Klay Thompson would probably be among like 18th or 17th on the list, and Anthony Davis, I really haven't seen that much of him this season, so I don't really want to say anything. He hasn't really played that much this season in general just because of his injuries, even in the playoffs. But I would probably put him in the top 15, maybe low top 15, like 13th or 14th. But yeah, he still hasn't really changed so much. It's just that he's become a lot more injury prone, which isn't a good thing. And DeAndre Ayton kind of messed him up a bit in the first round. He's still a good player, and he's probably going to prove me wrong next season. He might become a top 10 player. From 25 to 21, we have Bam, Drew, Zion, Cat, and Jaylen Brown. I think Bam can definitely be argued for one of the honorable mentions, such as Zach LaVine or Domantas Sabonis. But I think how he can guard most positions, like 2 to 5, very well, and how athletic he is really incredible, especially for like a center. He definitely needs to work on his offensive game. Drew Holiday, all around good player. Zion, all around great. Karl Anthony Towns needs to work on his defense, but his offense is probably one of the best in the NBA. It's just that his defense needs a lot of work. Jaylen Brown, he's a really good off-ball player, and there's really not much more you could say to him. He's a very good shooter, but he's just kind of a really good player, and that's really all. Jimmy Butler was considered a top 10 player in the NBA Finals, and even when he came back, he was still top 15, but because of his playoff performances, I couldn't put him below top 20, but I couldn't really put him in the top 15 conversation. Bradley Beal, I think Westbrook is better than Bradley Beal just because of how much he does to the whole team. Kind of that like Chris Paul type kind of stuff, but Beal you could definitely argue is better. You could argue he's the leader, but I would argue Westbrook more. And Trae Young, as much as I hate him, he's had an incredible postseason, good regular season, just a good regular season, but his postseason has been on another level, and I gotta respect that. Next up, we have 16th to 6th. At number 16, we have Jason Tatum. I still think Jason Tatum's a better talent than Trae Young. Just his unique scoring and everything is almost like Kobe-like, just like Devin Booker. I put them beside each other just because like they really have they're really amazing at scoring. They're probably one of the best scorers in the NBA right now. Tatum can drop 60 and 50 whenever he wants. Devin Booker, obviously, 40-point triple-double. I put Devin Booker slightly ahead just because of his like playmaking abilities. They're like slightly ahead of Jason Tatum, but you could really switch them either way. Then we have Chris Paul, who I think is a very influence, influential player. He helped the Suns go from like ninth to second, which is incredible. A lot of players on the Phoenix Suns have gotten a lot better too, especially DeAndre Ayton in the playoffs. He's just been an absolute monster and honestly, debatably a top 5 center in the NBA right now. So I think his impact and his leadership definitely helps. Obviously, being a top like 3 passer in the NBA. Next up, we got Donovan Mitchell, who's just an absolute monster. He has the leadership of. He has very good leadership, and he's an amazing scorer. He can also pass the ball very well. Super athletic. He just has a little bit of trouble with injuries, which is the only problem. Next up, we have Kyrie Irving. I would put Kyrie Irving below James Harden just because of the impact. James Harden is a better passer and scores like a little bit debatable. Um, that's what I would do, but Kyrie Irving still probably the greatest ball handler we've ever seen. Very good scorer, can really score from anywhere. Next up, we have Paul George, playoff P. He just had a 41 point game. He's been proving everyone wrong this season. It's kind of been his redemption season. And I really like that. He's been one of my favorite players for a while, and he's honestly a top 3 favorite players in the NBA right now. But yeah, he's just been proving everyone wrong. Been doing good performances, good leadership overall. You could really switch him with James Harden because James Harden in the playoffs has not been amazing. He did well. He did well in the Boston series, but you can't put all the blame on him because he was injured. But you can't just put no blame on him, which is why he's number 10. Damian Lillard, we all know, had that 55-point game with 10 assists and 12 threes. He's absolutely incredible, and honestly, I hope he leaves the Portland Trailblazers just because of the talent he really is. And he's kind of ending his prime soon because he's like 31 or 32 or something. So yeah. Next up, we have these three who are honestly interchangeable. We have Embiid, Jokic, and Luka. Obviously, Nikola Jokic had to be in the top 10 because he was the MVP. You could honestly switch him with Joel Embiid. I wouldn't, just because of his passing ability, really makes him a lot better. But defensively wise, Joel Embiid far surpasses Nikola Jokic. And he's just been carrying the 76ers these past years. Like I don't think you can really put any blame on Joel Embiid, especially for like the Atlanta loss. You can't really put any blame on him because he's been dropping like 30 with a foot injury. Nikola Jokic obviously won MVP. And number 6, I have Luka Doncic, just amazing on offense. Like offensively, there's really nothing he can't do. Like he can rebound, he can pass the ball. I feel like he really just needs another playmaker that could put the stress off him. And other than that, yeah, he's going to be good for a long time, and he's probably going to be an MVP in like 2 to 3 years. Now that we're in the top 5, I'm going to be going in depth a lot more. At number 5, we have Giannis Antetokounmpo. Giannis is an amazing talent. He's a 2-time MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, All Defensive First Team, All NBA First Team. He has so many accolades. It's just that he doesn't have that NBA championship, and that's really what's holding his career. But in terms of right now, I like how he's shooting a lot more threes. He has been trying to shoot a lot more threes, and he has been getting better at them. Very slowly. It's not like Ben Simmons where he just reluctantly shoots or like doesn't shoot at all. He just shoot, and I like how he like puts in the contact. Like he goes into the contact, unlike Ben Simmons. He goes to the free throw line every time. Even if he misses some, he still goes in. But obviously, shooting is a huge problem for Giannis, and if he wants to become a top 2 or best player in the world, he's gonna have to learn it. And then at number 4, we have LeBron, King Goat James. This has definitely been a drop off year for LeBron. I think this is LeBron's first drop off year. It wasn't anything big. He tried to help his team in the playoffs. He couldn't really do it, but you could kind of see how he did drop off. His scoring kind of dropped off. He kind of shot a lot more threes instead of driving to the basket a lot more, which is something LeBron has done every single year and has dominated. He's just dominating the paint, but he's been shooting a lot more. So yeah, that rounds out my top 4 to 25. And for the top three, there are three amazing players left, but let's see the order. And finally, for the top three, we have Kawhi at number 3, Stephen Curry at number 2, and Kevin Durant at number 1. This has probably been the first season in like 12 years LeBron hasn't been a top 3 player on the planet. But I just think that what Kawhi's done in the playoffs is incredible, amazing. It's been on another level. Just like Kevin Durant, Kawhi hasn't played the past few games, and in the regular season, he didn't really do anything amazing. He was just Kawhi Leonard. Stephen Curry was absolutely incredible. Even in the play-in tournament, he dropped 38 each game to try and help his team. Obviously, it didn't go super well, but yeah, I hope Steph Curry and them make the playoffs next year with Klay Thompson healthy, because we really want to see him succeed. But at number 1, we have Kevin Durant, who just came off 2 historic performances. It's really, I don't think people get how he's done a 49-point triple-double after coming back from an ACL tear, because most people probably retire after that. That's incredible. But yeah, Kawhi number 3, Steph Curry number 2, KD number 1. And that rounds out my top 3. So thanks for watching, and like the video and subscribe.